can't help but say something about this whole coronavirus thing, if you want me to. So, again, when you know Steiner, you have the answers to the test, but you have to then figure out the details. In 1918, after the biggest pandemic, the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, Steiner was asked, what was this all about? And he said, well, viruses are simply excretions of a toxic cell. Viruses are pieces of DNA or RNA with a few other proteins. They bud out from the cell. They happen when the cell is poisoned. They are not the cause of anything.
So when these sorts of things occur, you have to ask yourself why. We already know that the US and several other countries have the capability to make a manufactured bioweapon and engineer it to infect the public. The question is if they did do that, would they tell us? Pretty sure they wouldn't. How would they cover it up? Maybe things like this. Globalresearch.org is a great website to look at articles. Last American Vagabond is a great website / YouTube channel podcast to check out. He's got interviews with people. He's got great articles on the deep state, MK Ultra, several different sources, including Iraqi and Irani doctors. There was a story about possible infections being spread on red hats that were brought into the Middle East. He's got some great information. This is another one to check out. Stefan Molyneux and Dr. Paul Cottrell, Coronavirus Update, where he's actually a Harvard doctor, and he explains how it's very likely that this was engineered, and in fact, I believe in the video he says he thinks it is. So that's one theory. Another theory is that it's 5G. Okay, this guy is a good one to watch. I know that this guy has been banned several times and has changed his channel name and lost a bunch of subscribers and never shows up when I try to look for him unless you kind of hunt it down. He's got a lot of good information to check out. This woman right here is another good one to look at. Miss Dana Ashley. This is the 5G narrative. So a lot of people say that 5G was unleashed and the map of the 5G is very similar to that of the corona cases. It's been changing, so it's not quite, the exact same, but it looks close enough to where people are speculating that. That's another good theory to check out, because while some people will point to the bioweapons facility being owned by George Soros, and that's where it was accidentally leaked or leaked on purpose, you've got some other people talking about the 5G. The third theory I want to get into is the QAnon people. So, I've followed QAnon for a few years. I like the idea of what they're saying, and they definitely have some truth to them, with the Democrats being super corrupt. And probably a lot of dark shit goes on within the realms of the deep state. So there's a lot of articles debunking them as well. That's another reason you might want to look into it. Let's see here. This is another article in the Asia Times about Taiwanese scholars and Asian doctors who speculate that this could be made and whether or not it was on purpose leaked. It could have been mismanagement. It could have been accidental infection that spread. But either way, they think that. So back to the QAnon. Another reason just to look into it is that QAnon is highly said it's a conspiracy theory. And I don't totally believe it. It's hard to get on board with it. But, I'd like it to be true if Trump was actually covering up for all these things and kind of speaking very simply and looking like kind of stupid at times and playing dumb. I mean, that's almost like a movie, it's a pretty beautiful movie. So he tweets out stuff, or he reposts stuff like this. My next piece is called Nothing Can Stop What's Coming. And then you got articles about You'll Never Walk Alone. Europe's radio stations create heartwarming show of solidarity amid coronavirus lockdown. So Europe played this Elvis song all at the same time across Europe to kind of help people. But what Q people are saying is that Tom Hanks was down in Australia doing an Elvis movie, and he has been locked up for quarantine, self-quarantine. He's got the virus. And they're saying that these are messages coming out talking about, the plan behind it all. Trump's behind this all, and he's done it. Some good people to check out for all the QAnon stuff is Vincent Fusca, supposedly JFK Jr. still in the flesh. Then they're always asking questions. So this is what I really like about QAnon is they're mentioning legal things, and they're mentioning things that actually happen, and they want you to go look into it for yourself. So, Trump says stuff like this: the world is at war with a hidden enemy. We will win. And Vincent Fusca then retweets it and says, the divine concept written in universal language, light has no misconceptions. When the basic premises have existed outside of visibility, still fear, not truth, lives there too. That which appears otherwise has no existence and therefore is not nor will ever be. Where we go one, we go all. So, it's a good spirit, and it's hard to get on board with. But some other people to check out is Jordan Sather. You've got who else? These people to the side. You got the QAnon report, death threats, Illuminati references. And everything looks a little too convenient. I haven't seen that many things called out blatantly, but they tie a lot of things to the QChan board, and they've got videos regarding it. But the thing is this could all be a psyop to enable Trumpers and Trump supporters to get on board with what's actually going on, which would be military intervention, martial law, all these types of things, kind of like the Patriot Act after 9/11, when we were forced to give up our civil liberties and become a surveillance state due to the threat of terrorism. So X22 report, all these sorts of people, let's follow him. All these sorts of people hint at the Q stuff. Trust the plan, discover the truth. So these are the three main theories kind of circulating, and I just want to get people's opinion on these. What do you guys think is really going on? All three actually have a similar agenda if you look into it, and that would be mandatory vaccinations, being in line with the Agenda 21, moving people into cities, not allowing people to travel very far, or maybe get money, or maybe, get jobs, all these things to do with vaccinations, which, is another debate, but there's a lot of info on vaccinations. I would follow Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for that information. So yeah, just let me know what you think. All right.
In times when there were no electrical currents, when the air was not swarming with electrical influences, we're talking 1917, it was easier to be human. For this reason, in order to be human at all today, it is necessary to expend much stronger spiritual capacities than was necessary a century ago. So I'll just leave you with whatever you can do to increase your spiritual capacities, because it's really damn hard to be a human being these days.